This is Abe Friedtanzer from Awards Buzz. So excited to be speaking with Mena Suvari about it. How are you today?
I'm wonderful. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Of course, we spoke about a year ago about RZR, right after you got nominated, and I think the Toronto schedule was already out, and I mentioned maybe seeing this, but I wasn't sure if I wanted to because I didn't know if it was horror. Ultimately, it didn't fit my schedule, so I didn't make the choice. But now I had a chance to see it, and it's nice to get to do that and to think that it really isn't horror, I don't think. It's more of like a monster movie comedy. Do you think that's a fair assessment?
Yeah, yeah. As long as you missed it because of your schedule. I'm glad that you I'm finally glad that you got to see it. But yeah, definitely. It's sort of like a horror comedy. I think that's the best way to describe it. And it's really got everything. That's what's so great about it because I believe that Joseph Kahn, our director, who already has an incredible fan base. He's a very well-known music video director, and he's particularly known for his pacing and his style, his visuals, and he wanted to make a film that really was for all generations. And I think it's the type of film that everyone in the family can enjoy. It has an incredible soundtrack, and it follows this sort of entity, the ick, and how it seeps into this small town, and how our hero Brandon Routh, his character, comes to discover its real capability and save the day. Yeah.
Do you feel like you've done something like this before? I know you've done a lot of outright comedy and a lot of outright horror, but not necessarily this mix, right?
No, no, nothing like this before. No, I love horror. I love the genre, and I had worked on a film called All You Need Is Blood, which involved a much more like comedic element to it, and I absolutely loved that. But working on Ick, I just feel like the scope of this production. No, I'd never worked on anything like this that really involved incredible effects. I also had never worked on a project where I played my younger self and they used this de-aging process, which was really trippy to experience. It was a lot of fun, but I feel like those, and I feel like it's safe to say too, like in talking with Brandon about some of those moments, those seemed almost like the most challenging because we had to um, connect with not just like um, our physical performance, but like the tone of our voice and the inflections, and try to remember what we were like in high school. And be wearing these, for me particularly, it was wild because I was wearing like a cheerleader uniform. I was wearing like a lot of things that I wore in the late 90s, 2000s, which were appropriate. I was like late teens, 20, but as like a 42-year-old mom, it was it was kind of wild to be experiencing again. And and just experiencing again like that whole process of doing scans, different scan work to then see myself younger was really wild. So it was a awesome experience, I think, all around.
I think also that's the time where you started acting, where a lot of people saw you in roles. So if somebody
Yeah.
like somehow, when this movie is out on TV and someone stumbles upon it without realizing what it is, they might be like, oh, this was made in the late 90s, early 2000s, because that really
Yeah.
does have that sort of vibe. And
Yeah.
then obviously keep watching and think maybe, but it still feels very much like that. I having seen Y2K recently, which I think is a somewhat similar film, another sort of like horror comedy of that era where you sort of get extra you gain something extra if we're alive around that time and growing up around that time that maybe in the modern day you wouldn't exactly have the same connection to it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what's great about this film. I mean, really, you can take your kids to it and they'll enjoy it for really what it is, this awesome ride. And then for the parents, it'll really make you reminisce, connect to it for different reasons.
I do think the high school piece is also key, obviously, to the story.
Yeah.
Does any of this mirror your own experience in high school? Anything you
So
can
funny.
relate to?
People ask that to me all the time. And Joseph was like, "Are you like Stacy?" And I was like, "No, not at all." I no, I was nothing popular at all in high school. I feel like I've stated that many times. Nothing like this. And Stacy is she's definitely the word I like to use is an opportunist. She's definitely that person. She's in love with Hank and she really, she's in love with him for all the things that she feels like she can ultimately have with him. And then when he doesn't become the star, she quickly moves on to the next. And she moves on to someone who's perceived as a bit less cool, but he definitely has like the trajectory of success more than Hank does at that point. And you see Stacy sort of, living her life with him and running into Hank throughout as Hank is sort of on the decline, she's on the incline, and she becomes a successful realtor with her husband. You find out that, she's buying a pregnancy test when they run into Hank one time. And so there's this question that comes into play whether or not, she was pregnant with this child. And yeah, she's sort of like this. She's like this mom that I feel like she means well in a way, but doesn't really get it. She's very bougie. I mean, there was a lot of really fun moments that we played, like these little vignettes. Like I'm giving my daughter pepper spray for college, but it's like Louis Vuitton pepper spray, and I think that that's like such an accomplishment as a mom. And she's like, "Do you even know what you're saying?" It was a lot of fun playing Melina's mom as well. Like that was really an honor because she's incredible, and to me, she's just like the epitome of cool. Um, and yeah, I mean, listen, we really formed a family on this one. I wasn't on it the entire production that like Brandon was, but this was like a 55-day shoot in Texas, Houston, humidity. We were filming right when the strike hit, and then we were able to uh, continue, which was, I mean, it's just there's so much that I think everyone, our cast and crew, really went through on this to experience. But we really created a family unit. And it was awesome.
You mentioned the de-aging process before. Is that
Yeah.
something, what kind of advice would you give to other people who might be apprehensive about being part of a project or involving that?
Oh, I don't know. I don't think I specifically have advice for anyone. I mean, I think um, it's a very big topic. Um, it's a long conversation. I think for me, it was just particularly interesting to experience that because I feel very old school at times. I turned 46. I don't think in that scope, and I think it was really fascinating for someone to think like that and to make it possible. There was a lot that went into it, and I think it's important to have the proper protections around you for so many different reasons, which we did. And so I felt comfortable doing that. Um, but overall I love to play with those types of things. I mean, um, I think I can safely say, I mean, my character ends up getting absorbed with the ick, and that was like an over 4 hour process to get all of the different like bulbous features put on. And so I love to play with all of those types of things. It was really interesting to kind of see what can be done. But it was wild. I never would have thought that I'd experience anything like that in my career. It's still weird watching it. And then to hear from Joseph too, how, a lot of that entailed going back to that time period and drawing from particular interviews or things like that I had done, but those weren't I remember them asking for as much footage that was like HD, but we didn't have those things. Like it was so wild to just think of that again and experience that. But I think that they did a really incredible job, and yeah, I'm really happy with it. I think um, it's something that I'm overall grateful to have experienced in my career because it's just so wild.
I know that one of the TIFF screenings that I maybe could have fit into my schedule, but not like into my mental exhaustion was a midnight premiere. What was it
Yeah.
like getting to see the film with that crowd?
No, that was awesome. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, living in LA and then being on the East Coast, I mean, I guess it helped a little bit, but having a Q&A at 2:30 in the morning was was a little rough. But it was awesome. We had it in yeah, at TIFF, the Midnight Madness, incredible theater, packed house, very loud audience. It was really exciting to finally be there with everyone and experience it like that on the big screen, which doesn't always happen nowadays. So that made it very special.
On the topic of things that aren't on the big screen, obviously we talked previously about RZR, and I'm curious if you're, still paying attention to the short form series out there, if that's the kind of thing that you would want to do again in your career.
Yeah, I mean, it's not so much about, I mean, I'm really open. It's not so much about, you know, where that art lies or the particular medium. I mean, it was also the world of Razor and the character of Razor that really spoke to me. It being this like futuristic version of LA, feeling like so much of what's in there was already kind of happening or on the precipice of happening. Um, and, again, it was just a world that I really wanted to be a part of and experience. So, yeah, I mean, to me, it's about the story and the character overall.
Well, it looks like you have a lot of projects in the works coming up. Is there anything that you are allowed to talk about that you can share?
Well, I'm trying to think here. We have, I mean, yeah, there's a few that I know are in different stages now. One of them that I know most recently, I believe that they locked the film is called The Dresden Sun. That was again involving a lot of like futuristic um society, and that was really beautiful to be a part of. I worked on a film, at the time it was called The Green Fairy. Now it's called Vampires of the Velvet Lounge. And that one, again, it's sort of like a horror. It has comedy in it, very dry humor. And that one I know that they have been finishing, involved a lot of effects as well. Played a vampire, which I loved. That was a very juicy role that we shot in Savannah, which was perfect. I think it was almost all nights on that film, so that was an intense one for a couple months with everyone. But I'm very excited about all of those. They're all very different and all just sort of waiting to hear, how they'll make their debut.
Great. Well, this is Awards Buzz, so we have to ask, what are you watching? What have you seen recently, film or television, that are really sticking with you?
Oh God, I'm so bad at this because I tend to watch mainly a lot of documentary film. But
That's okay. We'll take those. Documentaries are great too.
yeah, no documentaries, and then I actually was recently on the board for the Holly Shorts Film Festival, which was really really exciting. I got to judge the international category, and so yeah, I've been doing some of that, but no, I don't sort of just always follow the trend of what's out there. I'm a very odd Aquarian bird. I watch a lot of really random things that don't always fall in line. But I'm still excited for them nonetheless. I mean, to me, that's always something that is really exciting and an additional blessing. But I try to stay very open to every type of content that's out there.
That's great. Well, I wish you plenty of luck with the many projects out there and
Yeah,
with IC, and look
thank
forward to talking
you.
again sometime soon.
Thank you. Likewise, take care. All the best.